Our attorney will now provide a report of what happened in closed session.
There's no reportable action in closed session.
Thank you very much. This time we will have the Pledge of Allegiance. Trustee Brown, would you lead us tonight?
Absolutely. Please stand and put your heart over your...
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes of the regular business meeting of the board held January 14th, 2014.
So moved.
We have a motion from Trustee Mann and a second from Trustee Waugh. Any discussion or corrections? Advisory vote?
Aye.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any abstentions or negative votes? Unanimous vote. Trustees, are there any introductions or recognitions this evening? Dr. Rocha, do you have any?
No formal recognitions, but I did want to officially thank and recognize Bobby Abram and her team and Valerie Wardlaw and those beautiful students who sang the national anthem at the Mayor's State of the City address, all during the great grand opening of the Center for the Arts. So, and at another time when we can get them here, we'll get everybody up and give them a formal recognition from the board.
Thank you. This is a time for public comments on non-agenda items. Trustee Waugh?
Yes, we have one speaker, Chris Pilon.
Good evening. I'm Chris Pilon, Professor of Graphic Communications Technology here at PCC. And board members, you received a memo from me last week regarding the use of reassigned time and stipends on the PCC campus. I have some concerns about this activity. For one thing, this activity is not transparent. There is no clear formal policy or application process as to how this time is assigned. Assignments seem to be made directly by deans and managers, giving them an appearance of cronyism or favoritism. How much does the use of reassigned time and stipends cost the college annually? Do board members have any idea of the financial extent of this practice? I've made a clear request in writing to both Mark Rocha and Bob Miller for a list of PCC faculty currently receiving release time and the percentage of salary paid through this process. While both have acknowledged the existence of a readily available list containing this information, I have not yet received a copy. I cannot find this information on the website. I wonder if the board members have been given a copy and if it could be found in the board packet. Please let me know where I can find this list. Under the terms of the Public Records Act, I believe I and others have a right to this information. There's no mention anywhere in the government code or anywhere in the PCC policies that this information is available only through CAPM. It's been both a procedure and a policy by past practice at PCC to share this kind of information openly. By withholding information and insisting on delivery only through CAPM, the president and the board are obstructing the reasonable performance of necessary college business. Please show your respect for openness and fairness by making this information available to anyone who requests it immediately. Thank you.
Thank you. We will now move to the consent items. Are there any items that trustees would like removed from the consent calendar for separate vote? If not, I will entertain.
Trustee Phil,
Yes.
I'd like to just make a comment.
Sure.
Usually if people are retiring, I like to acknowledge them, but we've had so many people who are retiring, as I guess as part of the Golden Handshake. I would just like to say that we're losing some very dedicated staff with many years at the college, and we appreciate their service.
Thank you very much. We do have two consent items today that have been revised that are at your desk, 93B and 106B. Both are relating to the same vendor, and you have a brief memo in front of you. We do have two speakers this evening. Trustee Waugh.
I have Jordan Orozco and Eduardo Cairo. So Jordan Orozco.
Good evening, trustees. As you know, I'm AS President Jordan Orozco. I just wanted to make a comment. Associate students took a position of support for gender-neutral bathrooms here on campus last year. And looking over the board reports on the consent items, I just want to make sure that the proposal for the upgrades for the V, the R, and the C building, I believe, do include gender-neutral restrooms. I cannot express how important gender-neutral restrooms are as we have more transgendered students coming out of the shadows and sort of coming out and expressing their support, especially for associated students at this point. And so I would like to formally request that they do include gender-neutral restroom upgrades as well. So thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Cairo.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for allowing me to speak today. The item that I'm going to speak about is consent item number 18I. And if the board were to approve this, all I ask that if you could make the procedures for applying widely available to everyone on campus. It's the item to approve staff and professional development learning activities for SASE. Which will allow the majority of those events to take place on campus, and some of them may be half or whole day workshops or retreats. So if you do approve it, please, if you can include a method of disseminating the information to all people on campus that will provide information to where to apply, what forms to fill out, who to send them to, all the procedures necessary for faculty, staff, employees, everyone to apply for these funds. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And we'll try to make sure that that is done. Is there any comments or questions about the consent items, Mr. Frazier?
Just a couple. I think that I'd like to reiterate as we do restroom upgrades, single-stall restrooms are important. For a variety of reasons. So I think, especially not just for our transgendered population, which would, I think, fall as part of creating a safe zone, but also for single mothers, baby changing facilities, a lot of reasons to have single-stall restrooms, and so I think their importance can't be understated. And on 107B, approve ratified contracts for student internships, I'd just like to highlight this. I think it's important that it be shown as one of the good things that the college is doing in providing more opportunities for internships. I don't know if, Dr. Roach, if you'd like to talk a little bit more about this and what this means for our students, but I think that providing internship opportunities are very important, and I'm glad to see it on the consent today.
Thank you. I'll entertain a motion to approve the consent calendar.
So moved.
We have a motion by Trustee Waugh and a second by
Second.
Trustee Frazier. Mr. Thompson.
In terms of the faculty and other members who are listed as resignation on the consent item, I think probably retirement might be a more appropriate term for that. But as Dr. Mann pointed out, we're losing some very, very dedicated and extraordinarily competent people here. And I hope that we have a plan in place, or will have, to replace these people, because I won't identify names, but goodness, I mean, this is going to, I think, create quite a change in the makeup of the faculty and administration.
Thank you for bringing that forward. Any other comments? Trustee Mann?
Yes, I would like to comment also on the gender-neutral restrooms, but I would like to call them family restrooms. They're often referred to as family restrooms. So you not only have, I actually had this experience in the airport, a father taking a little girl into a restroom, and he was able to take her into a family restroom rather than into the men's restroom. She was about 4 years old. And also, lots of people are caregivers for family members who may be of the opposite gender, who are adults. They can also go into these single. What I would hope that we don't do is do what they're doing at the Olympic Village, where they have the doubles, if you've seen pictures of those. So if possible, I do support students on this. We had hoped there would be some of these restrooms in the new buildings. And I think it is. I think it's really very important. There's a whole population who would be served by these restrooms. And this is in no way not supporting the transgender students, but there's lots of different groups of people. And so I like to refer to them again as family restrooms.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Martin?
I just wanted to personally call out in appreciation a few names that are leaving us because these are people that have worked with me. Kim Miles, I know Kim's here, and I was part of the audit committee when we first had so much problems with all our student aid, and then Kim came on and all the problems went away, it seemed like, from the audit perspective, and what she's done for many, many students in outreach out at other local high schools where I've seen you. I've just shout out to Kim. Again, audit committee member, I have to call out Maria and all the work she's done here the last few years. Kind of makes me want to vote no. Melissa Barkston-Botcher has been just a dear to me personally. And Dale Pittman has been a wonderful employee for many, many years, close to me. And many times when I forget something at PCC, even because we're neighbors, brings it by. And then finally, Dina Chase, who has just been out and about. In addition to what she does here, I just see her at our local high schools and all she's done. And I'm sure there's others on here that are as equal quality that I just don't know as well. But I just have to personally express something to those that have done, so much for me in my area. So thank you.
Thank you. I do have to say, Kim Miles was in my first class as a professor in my first year. And I don't know how are you retiring before me? But,
You're working for the wrong place.
It's been a pleasure to reunite with her since I've been on the Pasadena Board of Trustees.
Just I'm very, very grateful to the board for making those comments. I want to assure the board that these are just the announcements of resignations that are effective at the end of the year, that the Management Association and the board will have a moment to actually officially recognize these individuals and thank them personally. So,
very good. We have a motion and a second on the floor to approve the consent calendar. Advisory vote?
Aye.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed or abstentions? Motion carries unanimously. We now turn to our action items this evening, and the first is receipt of the second quarterly financial status report. And you have in front of you that report, which contains no significant changes from the 2013-2014 adopted budget. Dr. Rocha, do you have anything to add?
Yes, this is before you for approval, and if you have any questions, Assistant Superintendent Miller will be glad to respond.
Are there any questions?
I just move approval.
We have a motion to approve. Is there a second?
Or receive, whatever it is we do.
Right. Second.
And Trustee Waz as second. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed or abstentions? Motion carries unanimously. The second action item this evening is to receive and set a public hearing regarding the initial proposal from the Pasadena Area Community College District to the Pasadena City College Police Officers Associations for negotiations for successor agreement 2014-2017. It is recommended that the board receive the initial proposal for a successor agreement form from the Pasadena College District to the PCC, POA, for 2014 and to 2017, and B, designate the next regular meeting of the Board of Trustees as a time for receiving public comments regarding the successor agreement. Is there any questions? Frazier?
I'd just like to move to receive and set the public hearing.
We have a motion from Mr. Frazier, a second from?
Second.
From Trustee Wah. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed or abstentions? Motion carries unanimously. Action item number H this evening is to set a public hearing regarding the initial proposal from the Pasadena City College Police Officers Association to the Pasadena Area Community College District for negotiation for successor agreement 2014-2017. Any comments from the trustees? If not, I'll entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
We have a motion from Trustee Martin and a second from Trustee Brown. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed or extensions? Motion carries unanimously. Action item number I this evening is a public hearing, an initial proposal from the Pasadena City College College California Federation of Teachers, Local 6525, representative of classified staff, to the Pasadena Area Community College District for negotiation for successor agreement 2014-2017. And this is the time for public hearing regarding this proposal. Seeing none, the public hearing is closed. Action item H today is additions and deletions to the curriculum. These credit course modifications have been approved by the Curriculum and Instruction Committee and have been recommended to the Vice President of Instruction for review. Is there any comments or questions from the
So
board?
what item are you on? I think you said H.
Jay.
J, excuse me.
J, okay.
J.
Yes, I have a question.
Dr. Mann?
On the credit curriculum courses, under the rationale, it says, add recommended preparation and add update SLO, SPOs, and CCOs. That is the reason that we are approving it. It doesn't mean that this is work that still needs to be done. Is that correct?
That's correct.
That is correct, Trustee.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Dr.
Any other comments? I will entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
We have a motion from Trustee Frazier, a second from Trustee Mann. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed or abstentions? Motion carries unanimous. Our next item is concerns sabbatical leaves, and it's recommended that the Board of Trustees grant sabbaticals to those on the list in front of you. The committee received 16 sabbatical leave requests. 2 were deemed incomplete. The remaining 14 requests were ranked on the basis of total years of employment since the last sabbatical or date of employment. Is there any questions or comments? Mr. Martin?
I don't have any issues with any of these sabbaticals, but I think for those, let me say it this way, for those who are not academic, who look at the type of the sabbatical and they see the word travel, it gives a reference that they're just off traveling, and it doesn't connect the obvious thing that all the people inside a college know, that how the travel is related to making for better instruction. So I would hope in the future when these are presented, we can just shore up the wording a little bit for those that may on the outside in the public see this and not get the direct connection.
Thank you very much. Any other comments or questions?
I have one question.
Trustee Brown?
So the sabbaticals, is it for 1 year or 2 years? Or how long is it for?
1 year.
Thank you.
I'll entertain a motion to approve.
I have a comment.
Trustee Mann?
I would just like to comment that we are approving the maximum amount that the union contract provides for, and that throughout the terrible recession which the state has gone through, we have always approved the sabbaticals because we think it's very important for our faculty to be able to engage in this research and to keep themselves up to date so that we can have the best possible engagement with our students. So I support this, but I know many universities, sabbaticals were not approved during the recent recession, and we did.
Yeah, thank you for bringing that forward. Trustee Thompson?
I managed to go and speak with her before the meeting began, but when I saw the application from Patricia DeOrange Martin to be gone for a sabbatical for a year, I had a real double take because I was wondering what happens to our veterans program if she's gone for a year's time, particularly in light of the discussions I understand you had back in D.C. recently, I think last week, with the Veterans Administration, et cetera. So she assured me that if that happens, she will not take the sabbatical this time. So this is a tentative request that our approval we will be giving will be tentative. So I just want to make that clear. Our veterans need not panic.
Do you want to make a substitute motion to deny her?
It crossed my mind, but after our discussion, I will not do that.
Sabbaticals are wonderful. I'll entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
We have a motion from Trustee Waugh, second from Trustee Brown. Any further discussion? Student trustee vote?
Aye.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed or abstentions? Motion carries unanimous. At this time, we move to information items, and the first is the Legislative Advocacy Report. Dr. Jeanette Mann.
Yes, I have the board has the report in their packet. I will just go over make this very brief. 2 years ago, the board approved legislative principles, which is that we would advocate for support and resources that enhance the college's ability to accomplish its mission to provide a high-quality, academically robust learning environment that serves the needs of our diverse community, that we would engage college and community stakeholders in advocacy, and that we would reduce and eliminate barriers to accomplishing the college's goals for student success. So this has been our priority. There were 3 trustees who, actually there were 4 trustees who attended at the legislative conference then met with our assembly people on February the 24th. And also Mr. Miller, who was there representing Superintendent President Rocha, met with the representative from the governor's office and from the Department of Finance. And I would just real quickly like to just mention the 4 areas that we identified as priorities. The governor's budget, including a 4% growth and stable funding, the student equity plan, and the $200 million of the governor's budget for student success categorical programs and focus on basic skills for underrepresented students, promoting, recognizing, and rewarding innovation, opportunities for dual and concurrent enrollment, adult and non-credit education, and the K-14 facilities bond. And on the K-14 facilities bond was very interesting. We met with, several, we met with our assembly person and our senator, and one said the bond's not going to go on. The other one said, oh, there's a good chance. We kept getting mixed messages. To kind of depend on who you were talking with, but no one said, yeah, it's a shoo-in there, but there is a possibility. So we pointed out how desperately we need the improvement facilities, particularly the U building. And then we are planning, trustees Fellow, Brown, Mann, Thompson, and Waugh and Frazier are planning on going to Washington, D.C. next week to meet with our elected representatives and department representatives and the different governmental departments in order to advocate for reauthorization of the Higher Education Act, and also to explore opportunities for grants that would also improve student success.
Thank you, Dr. Mann. Is there any questions or comments to her report? Thank you. Trustee Waugh?
Yeah, I just wanted to acknowledge Professor Piniella, who was there with about 6 students, and it was really great to see them participate in the legislative process. So thank you very much for being there.
Thank you. This is the time for the Superintendent President's report, and I believe this evening we will be covering a Small Business Development Center update, Enrollment Management Report, State Chancellor's State of the System Report, AB 880, which is bachelor's degree, and an update on the state facilities bond for Serafian Hall. Dr. Rocha?
I'll do that quickly. Before I do that, President Fellow, I'm just going to briefly refer to our Washington, D.C. visit last week. In fact, speaking of travel, Patricia DeOrange Martin and I traveled to Washington, D.C. and met with our representative in Washington, Cassidy and Associates, who arranged for us a very busy day of meetings with the Veterans Affairs, FIPSI, the other units of the Veterans Bureau, and we had very, very fruitful discussions, engaged in relationships, in fact, brought back several grant opportunities that we're already at work on. And we also discussed an emerging proposal that staff is working on to locate a VA clinic here on campus that would ally a VA clinic with our Veterans Resource Center. And so that we came back home with a commitment, to support that, something on the order of $250,000. So that was a very successful trip. I did want to thank Patricia especially for traveling. The high that day was 18 degrees, and we were we were working that day. And I did want to very briefly thank Assistant Superintendent Miller for subbing for me at the Sacramento. I will be very brief on my report. Item M, President Fellow. I'll say first that there'll be a brief report from Dean Davila on the SBDC. The Enrollment Management Report is a written report that's in your agenda, and it presents statistics from Crystal Colross on our enrollment stats as we open the semester. the State Chancellor's State of the System report. Again, I don't have a lengthy comments on that. I just wanted to call your attention to the fact that the State Chancellor issued the annual scorecard, and we talked at retreat about aligning our scorecard with this scorecard, but PCC is in this, okay? So that is out, and then again, without comment, I'll skip to Serafian Hall. There's a very, very good, full, detailed update from Reuben Smith and Bob Miller about where we are with Serafian Hall. We are hopeful that the state will put a bond onto the November ballot, and if they do, our project is very high on the list, and look for funding. So speaking of legislative advocacy, push for that. And so that leaves only two. I can dispose of AB 850, not dispose of it. This is the bachelor's degree proposal. There is a bill, AB 850, which is wending its way through the legislature. McCallum and others tell us that the chances of passage are all but certain in some version, and that this would affect all community colleges would be able to put up a bachelor's degree if it met certain requirements of the bill. The academic unit under Dr. Bell that is most interested in putting a proposal forward is our nursing program. And they look forward to engaging the Senate and making a presentation to the academic Senate on that. And so just wanted that is a major development, and that'll be a major change as we move forward. But as I say, I just wanted to signal to the entire college community that that is all but certain to be passed by the legislature, and our nursing program advocates it for it strongly. With that, I've done my report, and I would call to the podium Dean Davila, and who will present the update on the Small Business Development Center, which has been out in the field doing vigorous activity.
Thank you, Dr. Orchard. Good evening, Board. I want to thank everybody, first of all, on this first opportunity to provide an update on the SBDC and the support that Dr. Bell and Mr. Miller provide in this new venture for Pasadena City College. I'm glad to report that over the past 6 to 8 months, we've been brainstorming about the various ways that the SBDC can function, not only for our business environment here in our local Pasadena area, but also to help foster the right integrated approach that's necessary to help it grow. It's more than just having Salvatrice go out and knocking doors. It really is. It involves me as the Dean of CTE to actually help her with our various forms. For example, extension has been now integrated to offering the right skill sets for businesses to be able to equip themselves as they're going through the SBDC process. I've been able to help Salvatrice with programmatic ventures of entrepreneurship across our business schools to actually help lift people to take advantage of our SBDC internally through our Veterans Affairs, through an Ice House entrepreneurship program, as well through our credit program as well. And lastly, what I'm more proud of is to bring different business activities that are going to be literally happening here this spring, for which she and I have culminated and secured PCC first and foremost, in the table with what business development is here in the city of Pasadena. And I'm not going to steal her thunder, and she's going to describe that a little bit more. So, without further ado, Salvatrice.
Thank you. So I'd like to first announce and really proud of the gracious response that we have been given by our business community. The business community is completely and utterly gracious for our services, and we have been getting an overwhelming response of gratitude from them. Just as Solomon mentioned, with some of the ventures that are being taken place here at PCC, I'd like to first begin with, the time with the SBDC, and my time specifically, is not just with developing and cultivating clients and providing services for them. That's one component. And the other component is a community outreach. and really aligning ourselves with partners and or venues that lends themselves to sharing and educating their network on the SBDC services. So as of October, I'm proud to announce that we have serviced 33 clients. And that's a pretty big deal from October till now. And with that, we have participated with the Board of Equalization workshops. We have participated with the Alhambra Chamber Community Leaders Reception. They are very gracious in having the SBDC forward and providing and announcing our services, as well as the San Gabriel Valley Partnership, and also as a judge at the USC Silicon Beach competition. In the future, as Solomon mentioned, I am working with USC as well, upcoming in March in the spring with their new Venture Seed competition that's happening. Here at PCC, we are hosting the following events: the Women's Business Summit in March. That's in conjunction with the City of Pasadena. Of course, ourselves, PCC, CTE, and the Foothill WIB. Also in March, we are hosting a Pasadena Hackathon in conjunction with the City of Pasadena, SBDC, CTE, these acronyms. Startup Weekend in April, also in conjunction with the Innovate Pasadena Group, SBDC, PCC, CTE. We are also hosting in March a procurement forum in conjunction with the Pasadena Chamber of Commerce, and an ACA workshop in conjunction with the Pasadena Chamber as well. And then in May, we are working with Constant Contact during their Small Business Week. We are hosting an event here which brings 500 local businesses to our campus. What that means for us is that we are front and center in front of these businesses to provide them the services and to educate them on what the SBDC can do for them and work with them. The other component, and I'll briefly go over this, is again the partnerships that we have created within our community. And just to name a few, but before I go into that, a long time ago, a professor told me that your network equates to your net worth. And I say this a lot, and I apologize if you've heard me say it before, but the network of the SBDC Center directly equates to the net worth of the center, not necessarily in dollars, but in value, which equates the impact that we have on the business community. So by building that network out, by having partners and advocate on our behalf, educate on our behalf, and tell our story, creates an enormous impact for the center. Some of the partnerships that we've work very well with currently, just to name a few, and have been extremely gracious with their time and their individual network, is the San Gabriel Valley COG, the San Gabriel Valley Partnership, and VACE, which stands for Valley Area Chamber Executives, USC, and the City of Pasadena. Within the tech community, there is some nice conversation and dialogue happening between Caltech, Idea Lab, and Innovate Pasadena. This particular tech community is very, very important for me to understand a little better. And they too have been extremely gracious with their time and their resources, and allowing me to understand what the tech community needs. They have an enormous support group. The structure of that community is very solid. So I'd like to help support some of that within that community. And they have, again, been very helpful in providing me with what the needs are within that community for us to help service them. So in closing, the center continues to strengthen its infrastructure to meet the demands of the business community. Thank you.
And thank you both for all the good work you do. Is there any comments? Trustee Watt?
Yes, thank you for the report. So I'm glad to hear that we're kind of casting our net wide. I think that the board, some trustees, I know Trustee Thompson and myself have requested that we put together a business plan and that be a presentation to the board. And I was wondering, and part of that is it's great that we have these contacts, and it's great that we have this plan, this casting the net wide. but we're also worried about what that, whether or not we'll have longevity in being able to maintain the center for some period of time. So I think a business plan would be helpful to the board to see where we're going and what that future vision looks like. So I wonder, do you have an estimated time of when we could see that business plan?
We did have a activity plan to start off with. I mean, we're 6 months out. We have these large, I mean, hundreds of individuals for these particular events coming on board. And there is actually some fees attached to some of these activities that Salvatrice is producing. And we are going to be in discussion with Mr. Miller about literally a revenue generating account for which we are going to be bringing in money for these activities, whether it be registration fees or consultant fees, or through our extension program, the registration fee for those courses. Since that's about to happen, I think I need to have some sort of baseline metrics to see what projections we can do, what bandwidth in terms of the amount of services we can provide, to really say this is what we can produce out of our center. So without a baseline, I wouldn't be able to say, oh yeah, we're going to make this much money, because we're just starting off to see how much it actually cost us. And luckily, because of the SBDC housed under the School of CTE, we can leverage a lot of our funding for our students, for our grants, and including our extension school. So I think I have an activity plan, and I've presented it to Mr. Miller, Dr. Bell. I think we're executing it as we presented it, and we just need some baseline numbers to know what's the net worth, if you want to call it that.
And what is your projected time for that?
It should be by the summertime, because all these activities, these 3 major events, are going to be done, and we've had some consultants already that we're hiring through this spring, and those consultants cost about $60 an hour. And each consultant is roughly about 3 hours per consultation per week. So, you know, it is a budgetary concern, and so we want to make sure that these activities do have an impactful, positive net gain in terms of bringing in the extension courses, the registration for these events, to support these activities.
Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Brown?
Yeah. I just have one little question, and I definitely would like to thank you guys for the work you're doing. But my question is, you mentioned that you serve 33 clients. I just kind of would like to get an idea of what type of service did you do for these clients?
Sure. The clients range from various industries, and the most common services that we've been providing for them is accessing capital, is number 1. Number 2 would be marketing strategies, and number 3 would be legal assistance. Those are our top 3 services for them in general. On average, out of the 33. There's other elements too, such as human resources, developing a strategic plan versus a business plan, also import-export. Believe it or not, there's several clients that have been very active in that, in import and export, to my surprise, here within the area, and so insisting with that. But those would be the top 3.
So let me just go a little further. So have you had any, or maybe you have, just regular entrepreneur that come over to your center that is totally frustrated and not knowing which way to go, and you were able to guide them through and put them in the right direction? Is that what I'm hearing?
You bet. As far as an average, out of those 33, I would say maybe about 5 of those are startups. The rest are existing businesses. And those startups is from start to finish. Obviously, they haven't finished just yet. Some are still working on their grand openings or working on their product development. But it's everything from how to obtain a DBA to, again, putting together a strategic plan, cost analysis, competition, researching the market. I mean, when the startup business is very different from an existing business as far as services.
And I may add to that extent, I almost don't expect for Salvatrice to be involved with the startup businesses, because they do take a lot of effort. Mm-hmm. I've been there to witness that for firsthand, and that's, you know, the SBDC centers have very difficult metrics to meet on a monthly basis. She actually has to meet with clients and provide the access to financial capital and report that to the SBDC network in Long Beach. So these are really metrics that we're trying to hit month in and month out. That's why we're partnering with our extension program, so that if there is an entrepreneur, they actually have a way to build up to actually know what services to then render from the SBDC. So there's an educational process for entrepreneurs which require a little bit more time, and that's why the extension program and building an executive type of business entrepreneurship pathway is really important for me to build, to take that off their plate and really build them up so that they know what questions to ask.
Oh, one more question. So basically what I'm hearing then is for an entrepreneur that needs help, that's not where they need to go, or how does that work?
Yes, the services will be provided at the SBDC. So they would go to the SBDC, I have an idea, have a widget, I want to see if it's going to work. Well, that widget needs to go through patent law clearances, needs to be, even the logo for that company needs to be researched and developed, the licensing of such ideas, and all these things they don't know. So, so workshops are provided that are free to just provide an individual roadmap. But they have to do a lot of the legwork to actually provide information for Salvatruce to then bring the right resources. So someone has to have some concepts to provide to the web developer, to the patent law lawyer, to the fictitious name filing individual. So, and she can't really handle anyone who comes in to do that, just give them the roadmap. But they have to do some homework before they come back and engage.
I got it. Thank you.
Mr. Thompson.
How do we provide legal services?
We have legal consultants that we share with the network. So currently, right now, I don't have a consultant, but our network does, which is our Long Beach Center, and they have been very gracious with sharing some of their consultants over to
What
us.
does that mean, our network does?
So the network, there's the SBDC network has 8 locations. So it's almost like corporate offices. So I would go to corporate offices at Long Beach, and they share their consultants with us at the current moment, given the state of our budget. So we don't have a legal consultant on our grounds, but we do have it within our network to share with our clients and make sure that our clients get the service that they need.
Okay, well, I'm going to go back to the issue raised by Trustee Waugh. I'm not sure what your activity plan is, but I have experience with both startup companies and also with an organization that did things somewhat similar to what I think you're talking about now or alluding to. And without a business plan to start with, I don't know how you're going to get anywhere. I mean, what's your goal? What do you want to accomplish? The death of organizations like this, when you start out with about 6 or 12 different things you're doing, you got to focus on something. So I don't know how you do this without a business plan.
Right. Trustee Thompson, the first thing is to develop our network. Because we're starting from zero, we had no connection with our businesses, with our local chambers, with our local COGS, and that has been established and has been successfully done. These 3 activities that we're planning is really to say, come over to our home. They're literally going to be here. 500 companies are going to be here walking our halls, for which we then can provide these services, for which we can then have a baseline how much we can bring in and charge for the workshops, for the extension courses, and for some of the consultant fees that we know we need to render. Without knowing the needs of our client, we don't necessarily can project what's the necessary demand.
Well, I would go about it the other way around. I would start out saying, what is it we hope to accomplish? How are we going to do this? What's our budget? What is your budget?
There is a budget currently for the SBDC, primarily focused on the personnel that's supposed to sustain both the director and a classified individual. I'm leveraging a lot of other funds from existing career technology education funds for business expansion and entrepreneurship programs. And of course the extension, which as you know is a 4-fee course, which we do have courses in our existing extension catalog with business plan development, marketing plans, and even web design. So we're leveraging existing resources.
Again, what is your budget? How much money do you need? What do you spend it on?
The total amount?
Yes.
We have roughly about $193,000 under the SBDC budget. And the extension is, of course, for fee, so whatever money goes in there, we really just use. And the other leverages that we use from our grants, it's roughly about $10,000 for the events. The actual consultants themselves is about 15,000 that we have currently budgeted, but Salvatrice did allude to the fact as we grow that may need to be more, depending on how many clients we serve. So roughly about less than 250,000.
And what's your revenue stream?
Well, the revenue stream currently is projected to be from the events that we're hosting. So there's a registration fee for these events. And depending on the nature of the business that comes to us, a lot of the services are free. So for example, the 33 clients that currently were serviced are really free because we're leveraging our outside network, typically from Long Beach City College, where a lot of these services are focused from. But as we get more, as these 33 companies get more refined with their needs, higher legal advice, higher web development for their websites, et cetera, they will cost a little bit more because of the experts that we need to actually bring in. So another homework that we've been doing is bringing in the right consultants. Just the other day, I secured a web programmer, somebody that Salvatrice can use to actually help a company program on the back end. And you know, they're hard to find. And we're leveraging currently our outside network through our Long Beach City College, but we need to have our own consultants for it's similar to finding adjuncts or faculty for our programs, which are not easy to render.
If I may add, the consultants are industry experts themselves. What I mean by that is they operate and own their own businesses. They're not just fly-by-night consultants that kind of walk through the door. They're screened, the consultants that I'm currently using and leveraging the network at Long Beach City College, these consultants have businesses of their own, and they're paid also by SBDC for their services. So when it comes to legal, it's an attorney who we have hired for assistance. They have their own practice, much like the web developers. You know, web developers, they have their own business, human resource agents, you know, et cetera.
I don't doubt that your consultants are well qualified. That's not really the point. I'd like to go, I apologize for emphasizing this, but I asked to have this topic put on our agenda before you were actually hired because I anticipated that if we did not address some of these things, we're going to find ourselves months afterwards facing the same issues. And so, again, I have experience with this type of thing. I was on a board of an organization locally that started out doing these types of things, and I know from firsthand experience the challenges that you run into. And if you don't have a revenue stream, it's going to be very, very difficult to be successful long term. So you got to really focus on these things. And so that's why I think Trustee Waugh was on target in asking you for a business plan, including a budget. And I think you need to have that now, not 6 months from now.
Okay. Thank you. Mr. Frazier?
So I was at the event opening for the SBDC, and there was obviously a lot of great talk. And so now hearing these, my understanding at the time was that this is actually some part of a federal program. Is that correct? That there is some kind of outside funding specifically for the Small Business Development Center?
There's a matching grant.
There is a matching grant.
Correct. So we do receive $75,000 from the Long Beach City sort of hub SBDC, for which we are a satellite of this network that's run out of Long Beach City College.
Okay, and how long will that grant last for?
It's renewed every year. As a matter of fact, I was just asked this week if we want to increase that amount, for which different strings get attached to more funding. But I said, well, listen, we're just establishing the baseline. We're doing all the legwork. You know, I know you like us, but just give us a little bit more time to grow. Because even though they're matching grants, they expect more metrics, right? The metrics at the SBDC are vast. They're job attainment, job security, new businesses, growth and revenue. There's different metrics that Salvatrice is responsible for that I tend to help. So right now, I really am leveraging a lot of the current CareerTech budget to help facilitate these activities. But the goal is to make it self-sufficient. That is the goal. We are going to make money. And that is the intent of our, and with these activities, the money that we're projecting to make from these, is going to get us there.
So I think that, yeah, I kind of agree with a couple of things that have been said, which is that seeing it, maybe having some kind of measurable outcomes that are bullet pointed that we could see would really help us really understand what the mission is and how we're going to accomplish it. Because otherwise, without sort of seeing it in paper, what is it we're going after? What are we trying to do? You know, I sort of, we're in an accreditation cycle, so I think of it in the same way, pretend it's being accredited and give it some outcomes. The final one thing I'll say, without trying to add to your mission, is that, you know, I mentioned at the beginning of the meeting that it was great that we had student internship opportunities. I was a little concerned to hear that we're leveraging other monies in the CTE area for this center, because obviously CTE is such a huge area. We really need to support all those students with the grant money we have. So two things on that. One, I hope we can stop doing that, and we can actually get the center to be self-supporting so that that money can really go to where it's meant to be going, because that does concern me. And the second thing would be, how can we use the center to leverage connections that can then benefit our students coming out of our career technical programs and coming out of other places, so we can really make that bridge student to workforce even smoother.
Right. Well, that's the beauty of it, Dr. Frazier, that Trustee Frazier, is that the funds that are used for these events are actually not just to put on an events and to feed people. The companies that are being invited, the roughly 30 for the hackathon and the 500 for the Connect, and the other 300 for the Startup Weekend, they're going to be our advisory committee for our programs. It comes with some strings for them to guide our programs, to update our programs. So that's how I'm justifying these costs, because they're actually going to give us career-relevant, up-to-date skill sets for our particular programs.
And you know, seeing that as one of the outcomes or one of the results would be fantastic. Just, you know, so we know what's coming. Thanks.
Ms. Watt.
You know, I think that, you know, the board is very supportive of this SBDC, and so and we have a lot of faith in you, Dean Davila, to make this happen. So, you know, so not to belabor this more, but you know, since Long Beach has had an SBDC for a long time, I imagine they have some sort of a business plan. It might be helpful for us all to look at that and maybe see what kind of a framework they used, and that might be something that helps us envision what we could expect maybe down the line as you get your baseline data together.
Sure, I'll make sure I give a projected budget so that we can have a self-sufficiency model based on some of the activities that really have come up just this spring, so that we can demonstrate that we do have an effective plan to make sure this is not only integrated into our programs, but also revenue generating, as I expect it to be.
President Rocha.
No, I appreciate the questions from the board. I did want to just fill in a couple of things and just provide some guidance as you develop the business plan. And I do understand the time it takes to develop the business plan. First of all, I remind us that the board approved this because it was presented to us by Congresswoman Chu, okay, who presented us a rare opportunity to get the federal funding, and we did have to match. And so it does take, in any kind of business plan, right, you're going to lose money the first year, break even the second year, the third year, you're going to make a profit. So that's the business plan that I'd like to see. I never had any expectation that it was going to be making a profit in its first few months of operation. But more importantly than that, I would like you to please put a value in that business plan to the other ancillary benefits that are accruing to the college, okay? And they are, as such, the internships, the networking, which has enabled you to vastly expand the internships recently. Number two, the network that enables us to expand the advisory groups to the CTE programs that are required by accreditation, okay? Number three, the fundraising opportunities that we can give to Bobby and for additional support. So I do think, although it's hard to in an adventure like this, I would like to see some kind of innovative way that there are benefits. And finally, you mentioned extension. Extension is revenue. You're just starting to get going on that. And a lot of the revenue will be driven through our extension program, in which you're offering courses and other kinds of services to the public. But I think I agree with the board members that I think we would all want to make sure that we're supportive, if you can describe the actual, revenue. And I don't know whether, there might be a way in kind and so on and so forth. So I think that's what I take you to mean when I hear leverage, okay? Because this is something that if we didn't do it, we'd have to do it anyway for the sake of this School of College and Technical Education mission.
Correct.
So anyway, but that business plan, you can rely, will be forthcoming.
Absolutely.
Thank you. I think next week, some of the trustees will be meeting in Washington with Congresswoman Chu, and I'm sure this issue will come up. She's talked to me many times about it. It's very close to her heart, and I do believe the trustees would like to see a business plan and a budget. So we appreciate it. Thank you.
If I could follow up with that, I'd like to suggest that within 1 month from now, the first meeting we have in March, this be on the agenda with a business plan and a budget, including a revenue stream. So we know what you're planning on doing, how you're going to pay for it, and where you intend to go with it.
Okay. It will happen. Thank you.
Okay.
Dr. Savage?
All right. This is question goes back to the enrollment update. Dr. Rocha?
Oh, yes.
Yeah. I've had a number of people ask me about the breakdown of the students by ethnicity, and we've got a breakdown here. This is the first page under divider M. And I was wondering if anybody has ever run these figures, the breakdown of the ethnicity by students who are in the district, U.S. students who are outside the district, and then what were 4% of our student body is foreign or something, is that right?
What percent is out of district, you mean?
Yeah. Well, what I'm asking is, we've got a total of, in the high 20,000s of students here, but only, less than 40% are from our district, from the district.
That's correct.
I'd be interested in what the breakdown is for our district.
The ethnicity breakdown of students
Right.
who are in-district students.
Right, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is Director Kroll-Ross out there? Is that something? Okay.
Yeah.
We can run that report.
Now, one other thing to complicate it would be, and again, this is because I've had people ask me, well, how does the ethnic breakdown compare to our district? Well, it's not as simple a question as that. I think the appropriate question would be, how does the ethnicity breakdown compare for the age cohort that generally makes up the population? And that's getting a little deeper into the census data, but we've got some recent data from 2010, and that might be an even better scale for how we're doing in that area.
Right. No question. We'll get you that information.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Fraser, our last question.
Just on the, and this probably isn't something we can answer tonight, but on the State of the System report card, I've looked at this a few times now, and there's one statistic on page 5 I'm having trouble with, which is in 2008-2009, participation rate by race ethnicity per 1,000 population, multi-race goes from 2 to 120 in the span of 4 years. And it looks, when I see a shift that's that dramatic, it's usually there's some sort of data anomaly going on. So do we know why that happened? And maybe not necessarily an answer now if we don't have one, but it was just something that's been bothering me since the CCLC conference.
Well, again, I would not know. I'm assuming that the reporting is to the State Chancellor's office is accurate. I mean, I infer obviously that more and more individuals are identifying themselves as multi-race. Crystal, do I have that right?
Well, they have more opportunities now.
Right.
Which is why we ask the question.
Okay, that answers it.
Okay.
Okay, thank you very much. This is the time we turn to shared governance for 1 or 2 upcoming items to share with the public, and we'll begin with Associated Students President, Mr. Roscoe.
So long over there. Okay, so first I just wanted to say thank you so much for approving the lobby budget for us to go to the CCLC conference. It was a great experience. I have some lobby committee members as well as Professor Pinella over here. It was and Heba, who also went with us as well. It was a wonderful experience. There was some shocking news to me, as well as some also empowering news, and I'm going to be presenting a presentation to the Associated Students Board soon to see how we can use some of this information to get it out to our students and to sort of vet it out. Information in regards to financial aid, information in regards to underrepresented students, as well as the numbers in the governor's budget and how that affects us. Some of us went to different assembly members, talked about different legislation that concerns students. I visited Jimmy Gomez's office. I talked to his aide, Freddie Quintana, and we discussed multiple things, which included our Pathways programs, as well as our new math programs, which are Math 450, Math 250, and Math 150. I'm currently enrolled in 150 and getting an A, thank you very much. I've never gotten an A in math before, and it's working very great. I also spoke up about conceptual-based learning versus targeted-based learning, and it's very important to really want to assess that. The second thing we want to talk about is Associated Students is kicking into high gear this semester. Spring 2014 is our busy one, so you'll be seeing a lot more events on campus. We recently just had Catching Fire last night, which was a movie night, very successful, and we have one coming up. We're going to show Gravity, so if you haven't seen Gravity, I recommend you come and join that. Other than that, I look forward to planning the joint meeting between us and you guys, and so I will be forwarding you an email, President Fellow, pretty soon. Other than that, I look forward to working with you guys this semester, and yay, thank you.
Thank you, Jordan. Next, we will hear from classified staff, Mr. Altamirano.
Gotta bring this down a little bit. There we go. Good evening. I just want to say we've been working in part of the Classified Senate as far as we've narrowed down our theme for our Classified Day that I've been announcing since last fall, which is work-life balance, work smarter, live better. And we've narrowed down our keynote and workshop person, which is Joe Robinson, who is one of the actual country's most quoted experts on stress management and work-life balance. So we're excited about that. That'll be coming on May 15th. We also we'll be working with Associated Students. I'll just talk to Jordan about our 2014 student scholarship, and we'll be advertising it to the campus soon. We have a deadline of that for Friday, April 10th, so we're excited to be able to support students that way. We also discussed today the EEO plan that was presented, and we have some upcoming suggestions for the College Council for the upcoming meeting. And lastly, we got news from the California Community College Employee of the Year. And we took place as far as we spoke about qualifications, nominee procedures, and possible candidates for the 2014. So you'll be hearing from us soon with that. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Carlos. And we'll now hear from Academic Senate, Mr. Cairo.
Thank you. I'll focus on four main points that occurred this week. Number one, excuse me, the Senate began its evaluation of the President's survey this week. And what I'd like to mention is that the process itself has already revealed some issues that I'd like to bring to your attention, which had nothing to do with the survey itself. The committee members of this ad hoc committee have informed me of the problems that they had with the list that was provided for us, and it reveals the discrepancy of the current method of delineating or stating who is a faculty member. So we ran into the issue of who is a faculty member. We ran into an issue that we had a list, an updated list of current faculty members that turned out not to be, or that people were on sabbatical or people were on maternity leave. So this itself does present a problem, and I just want to bring it to your attention that either the staff is overworked or the information isn't being inputted. But whatever it is, there's something that needs to be done to correct that problem to the benefit of the entire school. Second, it was mentioned earlier regarding the issue of sabbatical. I too would prefer you not to approve it, simply because we are going to be losing some fantastic faculty. So we hate to see that, but we understand why the faculty choose to resign. But from our point of view, from the Academic Senate's point of view, it does present another issue that was discussed, is that we have a ad hoc reassigned time committee. And the idea here is hopefully that given the fact that faculty are on sabbatical, the big question for us is how is that individual going to be replaced? If we replace that individual with a part-timer, the school benefits, because obviously there will be less money paid to that individual and no benefits. However, at the same time, the college or the students do not benefit because that part-timer would not provide enough office hours. That part-timer would not be able to participate in committee work on campus. So we all would suffer. So I hope you take it into consideration and find a way to replace that sabbatical faculty member with a temporary one-year replacement. The next item is there was discussion regarding the new block schedule that came out. And I would just like to bring to your attention that the issue itself was not presented to the Senate. It was not vetted through the proper shared governance committees. And as a result, when this topic was presented to the Senate, there were many questions about the method, or about the actual classes, how it will not fit the needs of certain faculty. So I just like to reiterate the fact that it was not vetted through shared governance, and as a result, there are a lot of problems within the schedule. Third point, the technical visit, as you all know, we made a request, and I received an email from Dr. Rocha today stating that he too will submit a request, and hopefully that is the first step in getting us all back on board, working towards progress for the school. And finally, I read this week where Long Beach City College will be implementing very soon the two-tiered tuition for all students. And as a representative of all the faculty on campus, I would like to say thank you to every single one of you that chose not to have our college participate. And I think our students and our faculty and the entire college benefits by your decision. So thank you very much for saying no.
Thank you. And finally, Dr. Douglas, Management Association.
Thank you, President Fellow. Just a quick save the date. As Dr. Rocha mentioned earlier, we plan to thoroughly honor our Management Association retirees, and that will be May 8th, Thursday at 7:30, and the location will be forthcoming. So please, we'd love to have you all there. Good. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Now we'll turn to our trustees. Trustee Martin.
No comments, thank you.
Trustee Mann.
Well, since we met, didn't we have the opening for a Center of the Arts? Yes, and so I just wanted to comment, I assume the other trustees will comment on, I have received nothing but extremely positive response from the community, from the people that I know, from the people in my district who were very impressed with the whole event, with the building, with being able to see the students working and interacting, and they think this is a real addition to the city. They were so pleased that the mayor chose to give the State of the City address there at our new facility. And I think it was a very, very, very positive experience. Everyone that I know of or heard of in Pasadena is aware of this, except the staff of the Star News, and that's unfortunate.
I'm glad you brought that up. Ms. Hua.
Well, first I want to wish everyone a Happy New Year. Last weekend was the kickoff of the Year of the Horse for the Lunar New Year, and I had the pleasure of attending PCC's International Student Leadership event that celebrated the New Year. It was led by, I guess, our new International Student Leadership Counselor, Jack Yang, under Brock Klein. But anyway, it was very well attended, and people that I brought from the community were very impressed with the leadership of our students, and also the recognition of the diversity and the celebration of diversity on our campus. The other thing I wanted to say was I am on the LACSTA, LA County School Trustees Association Board, and so as one of the directors, what I've done is I've kicked off roundtables on various discussion items that are of interest between the K-12s and the community colleges. And so last week was or actually Monday, was the third roundtable on the AB 86 issue, adult education. Very well attended. Rio Hondo was one of the the big presenters of the largest consortiums. But I had a chance to read Dr. Bell's report, and I know that Dr. Bell and Dr. Ariano are working on the adult ed, and I hope that you will, from some of the things I heard, I hope that we will also take into consideration the opportunities to work with our community as stakeholders on AB 86, and also, you know, it's an opportunity for us not to just look at the K-12s as our member districts, but also to partner with the vet centers that also need, where their constituents also need adult education. And as Trustee Brown and I have also been very strong advocates of career technical education and workforce development, I hope we will look to them as partners in this. And I also saw in your report that we might be considering joining forces with the LACCD consortium. And so possibly, I know we're not on future items, but hopefully we could get, the board might get a future study session to discuss what the adult ed consortium for PACCD might look like.
Thank you. Trustee Brown.
Well, I had the opportunity to attend Sacramento to the Effective Trustee Workshop, and I really enjoyed the opportunity of meeting with the legislators and excellent workshops that we had, and I'm looking forward again to attend Washington. I'm a little scared about that weather, but I will be there. And the thing that I really enjoyed or was encouraging when we spoke with the legislators is the fact that starting with Governor Brown's budget, it's encouraging for us as trustees and for the students at this point as we compare ourselves to previous years. I see that there's a lot of benefits that our students can get on our organization if we focus on the right programs where we can help our students. And I'm looking forward to seeing that we are able to focus on the students that need the most help and do something phenomenal this year for our students. So let's just see what will come out of all this.
Thank you. Trustee Thompson.
I just want to emphasize what Trustee Mann mentioned about the opening of the Center for the Arts, particularly the two young women from PCC who sang the national anthem. They just wowed the entire audience and everything, but the entire evening was exceptionally well received. People were just amazed at how beautiful the facility is and how well the evening was organized and moved along. So thanks to Valerie and Bobby particularly for putting all that together. So I have a question. I got a card, as I'm sure everyone else must have too, about a visioning community workshop for a Saturday morning. Who is putting this together or planning it, and what's the background of that?
Mr. Miller?
Yes, Mr. Smith and I and the College Facilities Committee is working to host two visioning community workshops, one of which is a full-day workshop for staff and the college and those that work very closely with this invitation only. We have roughly 80 to 100 people coming to this visioning session on Friday. And then on Saturday, we have one that is for the community in general. It's been advertised fairly heavily through a variety of print and other media, social media and what have you. So we'll have a two-day visioning session. At this visioning session, our three planning architects will be participating. Mindy Craig, who you might recall with the Educational Master Plan process and now at Blue Point Planning, will be facilitating this along with Ruben and others. So it's a two-day event. And I think in your packets a week or so ago, we had these one-sheet explanations on it. Be happy to pass those down to Trustee Thompson, and we can then provide additional information if you require it.
Thank you.
Trustee Thompson, so you know the matter has been agendized. We posted an agenda so that if 4 or more of you choose to go and discuss district business, that it's in compliance with the Brown Act.
Right, and both days have been posted, so if 4 or more board members are there.
Mr. Miller, is there any problem with any of the trustees going to the Friday session?
Absolutely not. We'd be more than happy to have you.
Anything else, Bill?
Or the Saturday.
Or the Saturday, exactly. Or both, whatever works for you.
Thank you. Trustee Salvage?
No report.
Trustee Frazier?
Thank you. As part of the Effective Trustee Workshop, there was also a CCC team meeting. And a couple of interesting things came out of that. We had a discussion with Beth Smith, the president of the Academic Senate. And the biggest statistic we got from that was that we've awarded in the last year 5,000 associate degrees for transfer statewide. Only 400 of those have been confirmed to have led to a CSU transfer. We don't know whether that means that people took their AAASTs, transferred to a private or to a UC system or somewhere else. We know that there's discussion about increasing the way in which that AAT is portable, especially to the UC system. So I'm hoping to hear a little bit more about that statewide as we go through. And the other thing was that we had an interesting conversation with the Chancellor, mainly about the governor's budget and a couple of different issues that are sort of on the horizon, adult education and the regional consortium. So all in all, it was informative, and I'm looking forward to attending the DC set of sessions with the rest of the board.
Thank you. You have in front of you the schedule of future meetings and future agenda items. Trustee Thompson has already asked at our next meeting to have a business and budget plan for the
The March
SBTC.
5th meeting, the next business meeting.
Okay. And anything else? Ms. Waugh?
Yes, I didn't, we just had a brief meeting of this new committee, the community outreach, and one of the things that we discussed, as well as at the retreat, was the commencement. And so the board has indicated we would like to work with the college staff to get, give some input to the selection of speakers. So I know you have, the college group has a meeting coming up, and so if we could let me know, we'd love to be participating in that. And then the second item I wanted to bring up is something I brought up way in the past, is the e-board packages. We have looked at, I know we looked at software before, but Dr. Mann and I have had a chance, and Trustee Frazier and I have had a chance to work with the CCCT's e-board package, board docs. And I know we looked at it before. It probably is, doesn't have everything that we want, but it's got most of it. And I think that, you know, in the interest of us saving trees and also being supportive of sustainability, which is one of our goals, I hope that we will look at that. And I'd like to put that on for future discussion.
I think it should be. Thank you for bringing that up. About the community outreach and commencement, it's been suggested too that these two young ladies should do the national anthem at commencement. Maybe it would be great. Ms. Brown? Do you have something?
Yes, at the retreat, we discussed having some of our committee meetings as a Notice Brown Act meeting, so we could have more people there. And I have followed up with President Rocha about studying, about scheduling a meeting of the Policy and Accreditation Committee. And do we have a date yet for that? Are we looking at March, Dr. Rocha?
The accreditation and policy, board policy review.
Right.
That, you know, that.
Yeah, right.
We're going to shoot for February 19th for accreditation and board policy review.
Right, and if we do that, would that be at the same time as the board meeting? Or would that be in conjunction with the board meeting?
Well, I'm not aware yet that President Fellow has made an agenda. I think we were talking about using that February 19th date for committee meetings.
Okay, that I just wanted.
Which could also subsume the meeting with the commencement committee. So.
All right, I wanted to clarify that. So that study session is kind of like study session / committee meeting.
Meetings.
Right, so we don't have to separately take any action as long as we have it on as a study session.
Correct.
But I did want to alert everyone that we are making this change, and we are in an effort to be more transparent and to give the whole campus community an offer to participate.
Thank you for bringing that up, Trustee Mann. Nothing else? Mr. Frazier?
I'd just like to, I've seen the future agenda items list here. I'd like to request that perhaps we schedule soon the report on the student-centered class schedule. It's come up a couple times. And so maybe just seeing in public where we are with that and what the timeline is for an implementation, what the implementation would look like. And it's on here. I just think that perhaps now that it's being talked about, we should schedule it for sooner rather than later.
Okay, thank you very much. And thank you for being here today. This meeting is adjourned.
Oh.